Android-driven room systems are certainly gaining in popularity, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Yealink A20, their entry-level solution. And so stick around and we'll go through this together. I'm Paul Bloom and you're watching In My Humble Opinion. Very good, let's get started with this review of this unit. Firstly, it's really simple to set up. In fact, there is hardly any requirement for any sort of instruction. This does not mean that there's no requirement to do it right, that you have not taken care of provisioning properly, or that you haven't done the correct updates, or that your network's not suitable, or the account's not set up properly. Those things are all assumed working, ready to go. Essentially what I've done is I've hooked up my A20 to the HDMI to my monitor over here. This is not a touch monitor, so I've also hooked up a keyboard and mouse so I can capture inputs for navigating. At the moment, we'll change that in a little bit later. And just after powering it up, it comes up with a screen here. It tells me to go to the device login portal. Now, I've already pre-entered that and I've gone to that portal. And I'm just going to show you how simple this is. After adding the code, it now asks me for credentials, which are the credentials for the room system. I'll just plug those in as well on my iPad. I've now got confirmation that I've signed in, and as you can see, my MTR, which I haven't actually done anything to, so keyboard and mouse not needed at the moment, and it'll be signing in there. Look at that. Give it a moment. How incredible is that? That's phenomenal. Wouldn't you agree? That's nuts. There's my room system signed in, ready to go. Now, of course, I could have gone onto the unit and plugged all those details in on the unit, but why would you? Look how simple it is. Okay, now that the unit's running, let's have a look at the menus and just see what we've got going on over here. First up, we've got Meet Now, which is our standard Meet Now. Jump in there, add somebody to the meeting, go find them using the on-screen display. I can type in the name, find the person, start the call and get going. That's all very good. I might just do that. I want to show you something about this camera that I really like. I don't know if you noticed the camera just open up there. Rewind the video and have a look and you'll see. And at the moment it's kind of tracking, trying to find me. I'll just answer this on my other device. Okay, so I've turned the audio off. I've got the call answered over here, as you can see. What I haven't done is turned on video. I'll do that in a moment. I'll just get to that side of the screen again. Okay, so you can see I've got my video feeding over there, and it's giving me the option to change things. And have a look how this camera's tracking me. Have a look how it's tracking me. I'm just going to move over to this side again. And this is the tracking options that are built into the camera. So it'll take a moment to switch over and it should find me in a moment. There you go, in a moment. You'll notice over here I've got my video, which I can turn on and off. I've got, so you understand that sort of meeting controls. I can add more people, and then we've got the usual sort of background blur, live captions, all that kind of stuff. Coming into more over here, we've got a few different options in more. We've got volume up and down, and then settings. This is not device settings per se, like in the back end. This is kind of behavioral settings, you could say. So if I come in here to behavioral settings, you'll see I've got meetings, which is meeting names, proximity join. Love proximity join. You definitely turn that on so you can join meetings when you're in the proximity of the room. It's pretty good. We've got some calling functionality, so calls for you. This is just the ringtone, setting up the ringtones or blocking calls. Like I said, this is equivalent to what you would find in the configuration of your Teams client, and that's where we're at. And you can sign out from here as well, see the version. Device settings, that's now the back-end settings. Now, yes, you can go in here, and from this display, this interface, you can access that, and that's just using the Android bar with a mouse, and that's all good. You could also, once you've paired up the control panel, you can get in there to the same area. The control panel then splices it into two halves, which is the control panel functionality and settings, and the actual Android soundbar, which is pretty good. But then of course that's all just by the way. My preference is to jump over to the web browser to turn this on to be able to be accessed via the web browser, which we do over here in the network web service, and you'll turn on, I've turned mine on over here. You can disable it. If you disable it, web browser dead. If you turn that on, you can get into the unit from its IP address and credentials. In the device settings, we've got our language options, time and date. I personally like to change the date and time format and so on to suit my needs. You can make some changes with the lighting. We've got microphones, Bluetooth. You can actually open it up and so it's discoverable as a Bluetooth speaker, which is quite handy. I haven't actually done that. It's also searching for other devices I have in the vicinity, and I just happen to have another product sitting on my table. In the camera section, we've got the control bit over here. It's going to turn on the camera and you'll see how it tracks and finds me. We can come to exposure settings here. This is if we want to change the exposure, that flicker, anti-flicker. We've got some white balancing, graphics. So coming in now to this other section, we've got our framing mode, which you can change to either manual, auto framing, speaker tracking. You can see the camera getting ready to be told what to do. I'm going to leave it on auto framing. I do like auto framing, it works pretty well. We've got some additional audio settings over here. We can add input microphone, output speaker. So you'll see there, built-in microphone as an audio input or as an output. We've got auto built-in speakers, which has just been set up in the menu there, and then some other bits and pieces. Down the bottom here, in the admin section, I'm just going to go in without a password. Don't do that, we might set a password. And then of course here is all our settings, the sort of standard stuff that you'd expect to find in the network segment. And you'll see I've got QARs and all the rest of it in there. Also Wi-Fi, some more network bits and pieces. You can see that I can turn the Wi-Fi on here if I like, and it'll just do a scan, and there's my Wi-Fi networks, and I can join one of those, and that'll be handy if you needed to run the unit over Wi-Fi. But for me, as a rule, please don't do that. Run your room systems on wired connections. It's the best opportunity you're going to get for decent delivery. As soon as you have contention or poor coverage, you're going to be sorry that you chose Wi-Fi. And you know what people are like. Once they have a poor experience with the unit, they're going to essentially bin the unit and consider the technology to be at fault. So let's not do that, right? The unit can also be set up as a wireless access point. We won't be doing that today. And that's the menu. Let's jump back into the meeting that we scheduled earlier. Right, we're back on the main menu. We're ready to jump into our meeting over here. Now this is where you really need either a touch panel or a mouse or a touchscreen. The touchscreen will work as well. In my case, I'm just going to use my mouse. I'll join over there, and there you go. It's connected, got me all connected, camera going, and I'm sitting in the lobby ready to connect. Great. I'll just connect from my other unit. Okay, and I'm admitting my room over there, and well, of course we've got multiple shadows of me into the distance because I've got my PC over there, my room system over here, and a whole lot of noise in between. But there you go, single touch, one click join. Currently you can't join a Zoom or a WebEx meeting from an Android based system, but watch this space. Let's have a look now at our touchscreen control panel. Right, so just coming back to the value of having the control touch panel, CTP 18. Now this is the same unit that's used across the range. Now just having a look at the unit itself, it's a pretty simple standard unit. I like it. It's got a decent sized screen. I've left the little cover over there, so for those of you who are going to give me a hard time on social media, it's because I've got to return the unit to its home base. I've taken the cover off the back here, and there is a reset button and then an RJ45 socket over there, and you'll see there's no requirement for power. I'm going to power this over Ethernet using my PoE injector. Now again, one of the little beauties about the Yealink product range is when they send you a unit, it comes with every little cable connector, even a little screwdriver to be able to piece it all together, which is really good. let's go and have a look. I've got my PoE connector, my PoE Ethernet connection now. I have this on the same subnet as my main unit. Once the unit's gone through its boot sequence, it's going to request a Teams account, and that's how it pairs. It pairs between the A20 master or host system and itself. It pairs simply by 1, being on the same subnet, and 2, signing in with the same account. There's no other magic required. There's no actual cable connector between the two or anything like that. You know what that means? That means that this unit can sit on the other side of the room. It can sit on a wall. By the way, it comes with a wall bracket just for the case, for that use case. You can put it anywhere you like within the vicinity of that meeting room, which really makes it a handy unit. Right, so my CTP18 has booted, and it's come up to that same login screen where it's asking for the account credentials, and it's done the same as the A20. It's got step 1, go to this URL, step 2, enter this code. So I'm going to do just that. Again, using my iPad, I've gone to that page, and I'm just going to enter that code real quick. I've now signed into the application using the same credentials as I did for the meeting room, and you can see the unit over there. It's connecting and going to my company portal, just going through those motions. I hope you can see it from that angle. Now what's happened is on the display I get a message saying that the Yealink MeetingBar A20 with this serial number has been found, which is what I'm seeing now, and it says it wants to pair. It's saying, would you like to pair? Select the device. I'm selecting the device, and I might just put that down over there. So now on the display it's asking me to validate it. This is a pairing pin, right? So I've got to put that number in on this unit. So touch screen, which is good, so I can go in there, and that is 600776. Check that. Yes. Okay. Pair, and you'll see it'll set it up. All set. Done. How easy was that? How easy was that? That's incredible. So now my display's changed. My control buttons are gone because they're now over there on my MTRA control panel. And so there we go. I can join the meeting there. I don't need a keyboard and mouse anymore. Chuck those out. I'll just disconnect because I don't necessarily want to join that meeting just yet. And there we go. And now again, we've got our buttons that were there are now here. Now let's have a look at managing these guys from the web browser. I mean, why would you bother with walking anywhere, to be honest? Driving, flying, whatever it is. Let's manage these remotely, right? Now you'll remember we turned on that web-based management option within the menu earlier, and that's why we can get to these. Remember to turn them off as well if you're not going to be using them. Sort of standard security type way of dealing with things. And there are other tools to be able to handle multiple rooms. It makes a lot more sense than this. But if you're just talking to one, just having a play with one, this is the way to do it. Now, how did I get the IP address? Because you can see I've got my A20 bar there as 1.80, and then my CTP18 is 81. And how I got there was on the units themselves. You can go to Settings, Device Settings, About, and you'll find the IP address over there. So let me get in here. Now, as I said before, I don't actually have a password on there. This is just out of the box, and that's how we're going to go through it for now. You'd obviously lock this down, guys. Lock it down. Right, so here's all the things I can get to. It's pretty handy. I've got my home screen where I was just now, and this is awesome. So again, this function here to be able to have a look at the screen of what's going on the unit remotely is something that's enabled within the menu. And this is just how I've done it. Now I can actually use a remote control to do things here as well. But as you can see, there's nothing going on here. Let's have a look at the control panel on this end and see if I have the same sort of remote capability. No, there's no home there. Right, okay, so just comparing the two, right? What I might do is I'll just join a meeting from the unit. I'll turn around, quickly join a meeting, and you'll see a change on that display. Right, I'm starting a meeting. Let's see what happens. Oh, look at that. That's incredible. I'm just going to answer that on my other device. Turn off my loop feedbacks and so on. and I've taken the call on my mobiles. Audio off, of course, camera on, and here we go. So that's it over there. Now I can volume up and volume down. Okay, that's cool. And then of course I can grab some screenshots. Now the screenshots, it's a web browser, you can't expect a smooth flow, but you can see I've got my file over there, and I'll have a quick look, and there you go. So this is the same settings we had before from the other portal on the unit portal settings area, the admin area, and to be honest, this is way easier. Overall, Yealink's MeetingBar A20 is a great unit. Add on the CTP18 and you have a really good meeting room solution. From start to end, the unit is well built, well designed, it's got good quality, it's simple to piece together. The simplicity is really what sells this unit. And then the added value of being able to come into the web portal and manage them remotely to some extent for those sort of smaller players. Why wouldn't you? You've been watching In My Humble Opinion, and this is Paul Bloom.